All right, this is the Retro Film Podcast. I am Giuseppe,
I'm Neil D.
and we are amidst the holiday season. And somewhere between the candy corn and the candy canes, you got the candied yams. That's right. I'm talking about Thanksgiving. And to start this off, I want to take you back to 2007, a movie called Grindhouse, where there was a movie by Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez called Planet Terror and Death Proof. Now, amidst this movie, there was a fake trailer called Thanksgiving that was directed by Eli Roth. Now, this trailer was so wild, so insane, so crazy, the fans loved it. Fast forward to 2023, finally, Eli Roth puts out this movie called Thanksgiving. Started out as a fake trailer, sort of a joke, and became an actual movie. Now, this is also one of those movies that, just from the name of it, and of course, having seen that trailer back when it came out, when it was between Planet Terror and Death Proof, I thought it was wild. I mean, because especially the way it was filmed, it was made to look more like an older movie. And it just looked so ridiculous, but so scary that I was like, all right, I kind of want to see this. It seems kind of ridiculous to do a slasher movie based around Thanksgiving, but seeing the trailer, seeing the mask, seeing what the killer looked like, and just it's like I can't resist a trailer. I mean, I can't resist a slasher movie. So I went to see this movie. I think it was like opening night, and I got my cousin. I was like, dude, do you want to see this movie Thanksgiving? He's like, you know what? I kind of want to see it. We went to see it. We loved it. This movie was fantastic. I mean, this is how it starts out. I mean, it's Thanksgiving Day, and you got two different families. You got the more like working class family, and you got the Collins family, and you got the Wright family. The Collins are the more working class, and the father has to get through dinner so he could go to work at a place called Wright Mart, which is kind of like Walmart, Kmart, big deals. And Mr. Wright, Thomas Wright, owns Wright Mart, and he came up with the decision to open up Black Friday sales on Thanksgiving Day, early Thanksgiving Day. So Mitch Collins has to get through his dinner because he works at Right Mart, and he's got to be there for when they open. Now they get to the store. You of course you got the more blue collar. You got the owner of the place, rich guy, wants more money. That's just how this guy is. Where you got the one guy who doesn't want to have to leave his family on Thanksgiving, but does to go make a couple extra bucks because if he didn't go, he was told that he would be fired. So gets to work, and there are people outside the place going nuts, tearing down barricades to try and get to these sales. And that's when the chaos just starts to happen. It just became bedlam. You have this big store, big Walmart style type store filled with people trying to get in. Only two security guards, one played by Tim Dillon, which was a big surprise when I saw him. That dude's hilarious, obviously. And they finally get over the barricade and they break through the glass, and just bedlam, just insanity.
I went opening night to see Thanksgiving after seeing the mock trailer. Thought the trailer was amazing. Set just like a Grindhouse film, which was their intent. And I love the Grindhouse series. And I thought that trailer was really put together well. And I was waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I went opening night. I got the limited edition poster that they were given at the theater I went to. And I liked this film so much that I picked up this little guy. I'm not a collector, but I had to buy him
Dude, I
because
have
it's
that.
pretty rad.
It's awesome.
Yeah, John Carver.
Yeah, man. I
Now,
have, I have that somewhere amidst my collection. I mean, I got this one signed by Alex Armbruster at one of the horror conventions. I think it was the CT Horror Fest I met you at. This one just came in recently. This is him. I mean, I have it closed right now.
you're more of a collector. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. I
you have everything.
even the
Excuse me, but
right down to the official hat right here.
I saw it. I think I went by myself too because I'm a loser. But I like to watch movies, go to the movies by myself. And horror films I always go to. They had the posters, which was a nice little icing on the cake. I have it framed on my wall. I knew this was going to be good. I read some articles beforehand. I mean, Eli Roth is a horror fan, true and true. He's like Adam Green, real, genuine article horror fan. So I knew he was going to pay homage to the 80s slasher. So I knew this was right up my alley. I went and I was floored because I knew what Eli Roth wanted to do. Now, here's the thing. I got mad on the internet, people, and you know the internet culture. They can be moronic and idiotic. No offense. We're a
Very,
part of it,
very,
but
very.
especially with the film culture, film community, there's people that just didn't get it. They bashed it. We were looking for something out of the box, something amazing, something new. We thought Eli Roth was going to bring something new. Well, you didn't follow what he was doing. First of all, it was a grindhouse trailer like the grindhouse late 70s, 80s films. That's what it's paying homage to. It was paying homage to the 80s slash golden era, which is exactly what Eli Roth did to the T. Did it amazingly. It's a love letter. It's a love letter, and it's got several homages to 80s slasher films in it, and I can name all of them, but I won't. But I'll name a few. You got the trampoline scene, which is homage to Pieces, which is a gory slasher film. You have the waitress getting her head shoved in the boiling pan, which is from My Bloody Valentine. Homage to that. When remember the guy gets his head in the hot dog thing,
Yeah. Well, he stuck her face in the ice water and then stuck it to the.
right to the thing, but it paid. It was a similar kind of kill.
Of course, totally get
Um,
that.
there's several of them, but that's basically what he was doing, and he did it very well. And I don't understand the hate on this film that it got on the internet. I don't know what people were expecting, but they weren't following directions. It basically was just a straight to the point slasher that he loved growing up and watching because he's around. He's the same age as us. He grew up watching all those films. Um, and we finally got a Thanksgiving horror film. I mean, we had Bloody Rage, which is an old slasher film from the 80s that was set on Thanksgiving, but it's not really, it's a Thanksgiving themed. This is completely Thanksgiving themed. I mean, I've never seen a town. It's over. Obviously, it's exaggerated. It's like people here in doing Halloween. They took Thanksgiving to that level. Parades, people dressing up, and it was a big thing in what was it, Plymouth, Mass.
Yeah, and it was the whole. They had the whole parade set up to, and they
Yeah,
were giving out masks of John Carver, the town's very first governor.
and it was a big deal. And it's in it, and it also has social commentary. You didn't have to do that, Eli. It's the opening scene, greed. They were getting waffle irons. I mean, come on, people, waffle irons, and they were stomping people. That one dude got his neck with a shard of glass. He drops on the pallet, and the fucking lady comes not to help him. She grabs the waffle iron from him. Total commentary on greed.
Yeah, and
Um,
this is the dude that just like when they broke down the doors in the front, this guy got his neck slashed by a piece of glass sticking out of the wall. He's shaking, trying to walk away with this waffle iron in his hands, falls on the pallet, like you said, and this woman just grabs it from him as he's laying there dying. It's such a it really is a commentary on greed and like ultimate consumerism. It's just nobody can pass up a deal. And I don't know if you've ever been out on Black Friday just for a
I
second.
used to,
Dude,
not
I
anymore.
did it once. I did it once at a Target. It wasn't like this. It wasn't like it wasn't like Dawn of the Dead, but just the fact that people were out there at like 5 o'clock in the morning and the line was already around the whole store. And you know how big Targets are.
But they go for the 80% off TVs too, the big screen TVs. You get the 80, you get the percentages off. I mean, but it's insanity, dude. But that's what his point he was trying to make from the get-go opening scene, which is an amazing opening scene. And then we know, but the thing about this film is he did a really good job because I don't know about you, but I had oh, we forgot. Spoiler alerts. So if you haven't seen Thanksgiving, shut us off right now.
Exactly, because this is still a fairly new movie. This came out only 2 years ago at this point, and if you don't care about spoilers, keep going. If you do, pause this, watch the movie,
And
and
then come back
then
to
listen.
us. Um, I had no idea it was Patrick Dempsey. I had no clue. I could not figure it out. I did. I mean, usually sometimes I could figure it out or I get like a clue. He left no, like he really left it. Maybe some people figured it out, but it was like it wasn't like Scream. He did tenfold better than Scream. Screams you could kind of figure him out, but I had no idea it was a sheriff. It was
Right.
Patrick Dempsey.
See, the thing is, I kind of had an inkling, but there was a point where I questioned whether or not it was, because there's one scene where you see John Carver, doing his thing. He's in the basement. He takes the mask off, but he's got like the black mask under it just to cover his face, cover his eyes, whatever. And he's doing something on the computer, and then the next scene you see him at his sheriff's office. So I was like, wait a minute, maybe it's not him. And then they kind of allude to it being the returned boyfriend. What was his name? Bobby. He came back, and in one scene you see him wearing the mask. But the thing is, one of the genius things about this thing is that because it was Thanksgiving and because they were celebrating the town's first governor, everybody was wearing those masks. So it was hard to figure out who the killer was, because while they're at the parade, they're on the float, they're looking out, they see everybody wearing these masks, and like the cops are stopping them. They have to take their mask off. Genius idea.
What
Genius.
movie did he get that from? We just did it. He got that idea from Happy Birthday to Me with the scarves to
Right.
mislead people.
Okay. I didn't even think of that. See, like that's the thing, man. When it comes to like Easter eggs, I mean, certain things I'll catch. You know what I mean? Certain things I'll catch because if it's something that I know very well, but at the same time, it was also kind of like Halloween. And how in Halloween, like they were wearing the Michael Myers mask. Ben Tramer gets killed because he's wearing a blonde Michael Myers mask.
It's a common trope.
Exactly. But it really worked for this one because what you didn't expect was the dude in the clown costume chopping off the dude with the turkey outfit.
Yeah, and the parade.
And one of the great things too,
Some goriness,
oh yeah,
vicious kills.
dude, Eli Roth brings the gore, but he doesn't get like wait, he doesn't get too excessive.
But it's intellectually done.
Yeah, he goes a little hard. I mean, like the dude who was in the car with his like granddaughters, and like the front of the boat comes through and just the way his nose is hanging, like just flapping there. That was wild. But one of the cool things too is like when you go back to that fake trailer from 2007 for the Grindhouse movies, they used a lot of the stuff that they used in that trailer in the actual movie. Like the trampoline scene was in the trailer. I mean, there was more nudity in the original fake trailer, and it looks like they used a lot of the same costumes because that turkey head that the clown chopped off, that was the same head.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, obviously it's got influences from Scream, 100%.
Oh, dude, and
A
I
lot.
and I totally see, like, I walked out of that movie and I said to my cousin, I was like, dude, this is totally like a marriage between Scream and My Bloody Valentine.
Absolutely. And he loves both of those. I mean, My Bloody Valentine's one of his favorite slasher films, Eli Roth, along with Quentin Tarantino. But well, I mean, it's a brilliant slasher film. But it's highly influential and it shows in this 100%. But it has its own spin and it's paying a, it look, it's almost as meta as Scream, and that's what he was going for. It's almost satirical. He's kind of making like a wink silliness of slasher films, but in like a smart way, not in a dumb way, you
Right.
know.
And of course, much like Happy Birthday to Me, My Bloody Valentine, there's the revenge aspect. The whole reason this guy is going on a tear killing everybody is because in that opening scene, Amanda Collins, Mitch Collins' wife, yeah, she gets trampled, she gets killed, and it was kind of gross the way she died because she falls on the floor, she hurts her leg, she's crawling, she's squirming to get, she
She
brings her,
got scalped.
yeah, two ladies in with shopping carts smash her head. Her hair gets stuck on the wheels and they pull away and it tears her skin off. She dies. As we said, the sheriff, we find out he was out for revenge because he was having an affair with Mitch Collins' wife, Amanda Collins. She was going to leave him for him, but it also turned out that two people died that night. Her baby died. They were going to have a baby. He had the picture of the ultrasound on his wall.
That's such a common uh revenge reason. Somebody's cheating on somebody, somebody's having an affair. It's just easy to do, and it turns people out, it enrages people. Can we just talk about that John Carver is such a badass costume, man. It's like almost like the Harry Warden, the miner. It's very similar. I think he modeled a lot of it from that.
And that's where I get part of the marriage between Scream and My Bloody Valentine. It's just the look. It's also the movement. It's the way this guy moved and performed the kills, went from room to room. The way he snuck up on people, it was just very similar style of movement and kills.
I mean, Eli Roth even made a mock poster of My Bloody Valentine with John Carver on the instead of the miner.
Yeah, and that was another great thing because they did that with quite a few of them. Because there was even a Silent Night, Deadly Night one where it's John Carver's arm coming out of out of the chimney with that axe that he used. There was even I even recently saw a Halloween style one where instead of the pumpkin with the knife, it's a turkey. You know, so it was really fun the way it was promoted up until the movie came out. But going in, of course, knowing the fake trailer, I didn't really have that high of an expectation because here we are 2023. I don't want to say that at this point the slasher movie is dead, but it was really hard to take a slasher movie and build it into something good at this point.
Well, Scream brought it back, but there was a lapse between Scream and like there was so many Screams with the same plot. It's kind of getting dead.
Yeah, and it's like by part four, I felt like Scream fell apart. A lot of people think part three is where it fell apart. I liked part three because it was a surprise in and of itself that it was just one killer. So that was cool to me. I liked that little aspect of it. Then part four came out. I I'd heard so many bad things about it. It took me a while to actually sit down and watch that one. Wasn't a fan of part four. Wasn't a fan of part five either. I thought the one in Manhattan was good. A lot of
I
people.
like the New York one.
I like that one a lot too. And that one also, as far as like movies, slasher movies paying homage to other movies, this one definitely did that. I mean, they're in Manhattan, and it's like I was joking the whole time, like, well, Jason was there first, and then you get this character named Jason going into his apartment watching Jason Takes Manhattan. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm like, all right, okay, I get it. You got it. You did it.
I gotta say though, I have a problem with this. Modern slashers. The kids were annoying. They were unlikable. There was a lot of them that were unlikable. Like, I didn't care that they got killed. But that wasn't the point of the movie. It was to figure out who the killer is. And it's always nice if they're likable, but I like some of the Scream kids a little bit more than these ones. That's an issue I have all the time with this. With like even with the Terror Train remake, I couldn't stand those kids.
I didn't think Jessica was too bad. She's not someone that you'd put on a list of like your favorite final girl, but she wasn't bad. The guy who ultimately ended up becoming her boyfriend, what was his name? The dude that was like kind of pining for her
Oh,
at the
I couldn't
beginning.
stand him.
I couldn't stand him
He
either.
was yeah,
Bobby was okay. The pitcher who broke his
all
arm.
right. Yeah,
Uh, what was the other dude's name?
The football dude.
Yeah, the football jerk. The jock douche. Because that's exactly what it was. He was a jock douche. I mean, one of the more um one of the more likable characters, I have to say, didn't have like a huge role in the movie was McCarty Park.
Yeah, I liked him.
That dude was
That's me.
Yeah, that dude was like this movie's that he was like this movie's Jeff Spicoli in a sense.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? The likable guy, the guy who's always like high, he's got guns, and he was a cool guy because it's like the whole time you see him like being like this party animal.
I'd say more Damone.
Damone,
He
yes.
was more like a
You know
Damone.
what? Yeah, I could see that, but I also could see a bit of Spicoli in him because people liked him. People liked to hang out with him.
No, he was a great character. I
Right.
forgot all about him. Yeah, he made the movie a lot of the time.
Exactly.
That party. It's like Ozzy. You don't know who Ozzy is? Get the fuck off of my lawn. You know.
Who's Black Sabbath? Get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here.
It, you know.
Yeah,
Just
and that
it's
was the
awesome.
thing, man, because it's like because beyond being this like crazy party animal character, he knew about guns. His father owned like a gun shop, all that stuff. Knew everything about him. You think he's just this party animal dude. This guy knew guns, and what's his name, Scuba. He comes in with Jessica, to try and protect themselves, and he's like, yeah, take one of these, take this gun. And he tries to give Jessica something. She's like, I'll be all right. As long as I'm with Scuba, we're good, and all that. And then at the very end, before the shit really hit the fan, before we find out who the killer is, before, the big Thanksgiving dinner scene,
I,
McCarty gives Jessica this ring and says, hey, this is my dad's. He wore it in Iraq. And he said it kept him alive.
I thought
So
that was a cool moment. He cared about her. Yeah, he was a great character. We know why the sheriff is doing this. Patrick Dempsey is killing these kids for revenge. So, but where did we get the memo where he was creepy and psychotic? I mean, I could see the revenge aspect where he just wants to get revenge and kill these kids for killing his lover, but to make like paste them with turkey baste and cook them and put them on. Where did that all come in? Was he just deranged and just Eli wanted to take his character to a whole deranged level and make the ending crazy? Or I mean, because we don't get that inclination. Because I mean, he must have been a hell of an actor, no pun, but an actor in the movie to be that good guy sheriff, but still have this crazy loony side where he wants to cook the people up in ovens like a turkey. You know what I mean? That was from left field.
Yeah, dude. Well, that's the thing about psychotics is like they make you believe that they're one thing when they're totally something else. I mean, it's like you also got to look at like when you think of like Edward Norton in Primal Fear. You know, he's got this whole courtroom fool that he's like this little scared kid who's got multiple personalities, and then he just like goes off the handle. But it turns out he was that crazy dude the whole time. So it's like people who are psychotic can have you make you believe that they are this nice guy so they can attack and whenever, when the time suits. So that was kind of a good way to portray what a psychotic is.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty crazy concept. You know, just when he's putting the the whatchamacallit on him like a turkey, you based it on her feet up to her legs and all while in costume and
And while conscious and while still alive. The one that he was basting was the stepmother. And that's where like some of those really well-known, well-written and very formulaic tropes come in. You got someone who's ready to die, but is conscious and disappears, runs away, is hiding. You see the axe coming through the wall right next to where she's standing. Then a dead body falls near her. That whole scene was very, very reminiscent and very paid much homage to a lot of those slasher movies because that whole scene with Kathleen being basted, getting up and running, like that whole scene was very, very much like the slasher movies of old.
absolutely. I think my film study is come rubbing off on you. You're gonna start using protagonist next.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing though, because like while I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I've seen this before where someone's hiding like against the wall and then like a dead body comes flying down or like someone's dead face, someone's arm. Plus, even in like the refrigerator, the cheerleader, the one that was on the trampoline, she was still alive, kind of brought back like what was it? Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When the girl was in the freezer, she opens the freezer, she comes jumping out because she's that shock, and it was just very, like I said, very reminiscent of a lot of the stuff that we grew up watching because it was just like you said, it was a love letter to all those
That's
slasher
all it was. That's what its intent was. And these people, again, on the internet, they just didn't get it. They thought he was trying to make another slasher film. He did in a sense, but it was a love letter to the golden era of slasher films.
if you grew up in the 90s, like if you were a kid in the 90s and your first introduction was Scream, you might not feel the way about this movie that you did about that movie, even though it was very similar. There were a lot of aspects to this movie that were like Scream. But the thing is, some of these people don't want to go back and watch the movies from the 80s because it's not the same as what they're used to now. Because in those movies, there was some story development. There was character development, even if it was to develop a character that's about to die or is going to die within 5 minutes of the
There
movie.
was a story.
Exactly, because in the 5 minutes that you learn about this character, you either want them dead or you want them to survive, or you're going to be sad if they don't survive.
Even the camp ones that you like the camp counselor and like Madman and stuff like that,
Yeah, the camp slash.
burning.
Yeah, I love those. But
Those even had stories, minimal, simple ones. Not so much as the ones I like, but the ones I liked had really solid storytelling. They were almost psychological, like Happy Birthday to Me and Terror Train and The Initiation. Those ones had story, very solid storytelling.
You don't realize how important that storytelling is until you watch a movie that has no story at all. Because even when I watched one of those slasher movies that didn't really have a storyline, it was just mindless killing throughout the movie. I liked it. It was fun. Then they did the same thing for the second one and made it a longer movie. And then it just got repetitive by the third movie. And it's like, okay, you promise us a story, give us a story, you know? So it's almost like people just don't want a story anymore. They just want the mindless killings.
Right. Yeah. Which is hence why Terrifier is so popular.
Oh, you caught that
I
one.
mean, look, if you take a film like My Bloody Valentine, right? I know we're getting off
Well, not
Thanksgiving.
really. I mean,
If
because I was trying to say it, I was trying to say it without saying it, and obviously you caught on because it always kind of comes back to that because that's what the new slasher is, and that's what people expect all the time, just blood and guts from beginning to end.
you take a essential slasher film like My Bloody Valentine, right? It has a story to it. Beyond the killing, it has a story about blue collar guys in a love triangle. Two guys like the same girl. You're watching that story unfold. They're fighting over her. She has to make a decision which one she wants. The killing is there. It's a horror film, but there's a story. There's even a love scene where they're walking along the beach, like a romantic scene where TJ's walking with Sarah along the beach trying to get back with her after he left. You get that backdrop story. He left because he was the town. She was starting to talk to Axel, and you know what I mean. And you get that love triangle story there. You don't see that in today's modern slasher. You know what I mean? These kids don't want that probably. We grew up watching that stuff.
Right, and that's the thing. That exact story, that exact thing is what you got in Thanksgiving also. You had Jessica, her boyfriend broke his hand and he disappears. Same thing happened in My Bloody Valentine. The dude left and then she ends up going with the dude that was like kind of his rival. It was like the dude that Bobby didn't like. Same thing in My Bloody Valentine. It's like they were friends, but they weren't. They were sort of rivals. You know what I mean? So this is what happens. You leave, she goes for the guy that you don't like. That's another thing that, kind of brought me to the whole My Bloody Valentine comparison also. Because there was that love triangle, but there was also the love triangle between the sheriff, Mitch Collins, and Amanda Collins that you didn't find out about until the end, but it was there.
No, I mean this film just it absolutely takes from a lot of films.
Yeah, dude, it checked all the boxes. It checked everything that you need to make a good slasher movie. I mean, listen,
But so entertaining.
yeah, it was very entertaining, and you might not have liked every one of the main characters, but there were enough of them that you did like. We knew that Manny was gonna die, the security guard at the beginning. Like I said, played by Tim Dillon. Dude, he's hilarious. I thought he was great in it, even though he had a small part. When they find out like everybody who was there that night who had played some kind of role in what happened were getting picked off. He's like getting his plane tickets, his passport, he's getting everything together, and then he comes up behind him with the I'm guessing it was a piano wire because you don't really see
Well,
it.
he sticks him in the calf with the drill, turkey
Yes,
cutter.
he gets him in he gets him with the turkey carver in the leg. And then like I said, you don't really see it. I'm guessing piano wire because I'm thinking of the Godfather, the whole Luca
Fishing
Brasi.
wire. He
Yeah,
slices
fishing
it.
wire, maybe a piano wire, could be a bass string for all I know. But whatever he did, it took his head off. And then, he starts posting all this stuff on like Instagram, tagging all the people who were there. Like that's psychotic, as you said. Just posting it there for everybody to see, anybody and everybody to see. And it's like, well, why aren't the cops doing anything about it? And it's like, well, because the sheriff's the one doing it.
This is how fast wildfire spreads, though. I don't know if you're aware. There's a movie now that it mixes Thanksgiving and Scream together in My Blood. All three of them called Founders Day. I've watched it. Look it up. It is. It's like a carbon copy of like the director didn't even have any shame. It's a total rip off of a combination of all three of those films. Like it wasn't bad, but it's a similar. It's so much like Thanksgiving. It's insane. The dude didn't change really anything. The costume's almost the same. It's just instead of Thanksgiving, it's voting. It's the voting like day they're celebrating.
Oh,
like
okay.
Founders Day, Founders of
Right.
the Colonies Day. It's just like, come on,
But again,
no originality.
but that's the thing, though. It's like that's a good. This movie's a good model to go by. And again, we sort of brought up Terrifier already. And like I said, I'm a fan of those movies, but I know what they are. You know what I mean? I watch them for fun, and I'm not even that big into the gore. You know what I mean? It has a lot of it. It was funny to me at first. It was interesting. It's fun, but it's like it lacks the story. I'm just a fan of it. Don't. I wasn't that big of a fan of Part Three, but I know what it is, though. I can sit here and say I like the movies, but I get why people don't. I like Thanksgiving.
How could you not like this movie? It was so entertaining,
I mean,
especially in the theater.
I'm always on the social. I'm always on Facebook, and I'm in a bunch of horror groups. And someone posted that picture of like the Halloween stuff. The turkey with the knife. This year there'll be no more leftovers. And I was like, yeah, I'm watching this movie right now, and I'm like, this movie is such a great movie. Like, like I said, I always bring up the marriage between My Bloody Valentine and Scream. You got something from the 80s mixed with something from the 90s, and you get something great for the 2020s. There is a formula when you talk about slasher movies, and there's nothing wrong with following the formula. The Who Done It. See it a lot in slashers.
Well, look, Eli Roth never said he's coming out with something new. He never said I'm reinventing the wheel with Thanksgiving. No, I read it in Rue Morgue before it came out. He said, "This is my love letter to the films I grew up with. What don't you understand about that?" And he hit it bullseye on the nose, 100%.
He got so many fans who loved what he did in that small little trailer in the Grindhouse movie that they wanted to see a whole movie of it. And that's exactly what he did. And he used a lot of the scenes, I mean, different actors at this point, but he used a lot of the scenes that were in that trailer for in that movie. Even some of the costumes, like I said. There's always like when a movie comes out nowadays, you'll always get that one or two people who say, well, no one asked for this. You know what I mean? Where it's like a movie, it's like everybody's like, oh, why are they putting this movie out? No one asked for this. No one asked for this. Everybody asked for this. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of stuff people don't ask for, but we get it, and it's great. Thanksgiving, people literally asked for it. And I don't personally, I really like this movie.
Was fantastic. Um, but here's the thing. First of all, people, and I'm not trying to sound conceited here, but their knowledge of they don't know anything about film. First off, I've had arguments with people. I can't even count how many times online, um, over ridiculous stuff. Uh, this is art. People, a lot of people were waiting for this film. A lot of people, and it's easy to be negative. I've been a victim. I mean, look, I'm no angel. I've done that too. Trust me. But I try not to. I try to look for the good. Some of the stuff I can't, but um, it's just that negative culture that's just impounded, and people try to sound smart and like they just end up sounding like silly, like idiots. You know what I mean? It's very easy to, you know how hard it is to make a film. He wrote and directed this film, and it's a great story and it's a great homage piece.
Totally. I totally agree with that. And to me, I mean, me personally, I'm not a film scholar. I'm a film watcher. I watch movies. I like movies. I love movies. I love talking about movies.
Yeah, but you know more about film than you think. Trust
I
me.
well,
No.
see, and that's the thing. Like, I never think of it that way. I just think, hey, we're going to talk about movies. We're going to turn on microphones and talk about
Yeah,
movies.
but if you love film, you know about it.
Right.
Believe me.
Well, because that's the thing, man. I I haven't been to a movie in a while. The last movie I saw in theater was Weapons, which I liked. I really liked Weapons. It was one of the better horror movies that I saw this year. But there's so much stuff that's happening in the theater, coming out in theater, that I'm just not that interested in. I still haven't even seen Black Phone 2.
I don't go out. Yeah, I don't. I watch. I'll be honest. I watch a lot of streaming movies. I get recommended. Like a guy I met, a director. I go to conventions and film functions a lot over the years because I've been in the industry for a long time. A lot of stuff, and I met a guy who wrote and directed a film called Director's Cut, Don Caprio. Now, was it the greatest film? No, but I give the guy credit. He wrote and directed it. It was decent, entertaining. It's a slasher homaged film. Uh, Creepy characters in it. And I just recently watched that, and I enjoyed it. But you know, to make a film is very hard. You got to give these people credit. Unless anybody can make a bad film, okay? But if you can make a good film that's going to hold someone's attention, that's off to you, man. It's hard. I only know analytical stuff by studying film stuff. I don't know how to make a film. But the problem is if you ask someone, just why don't you like the film? Where I could bet it, they can't tell you why, and that's where you call their bluff.
Yeah, dude, and I totally get that because I sometimes I sit there and I'm watching a movie and I'm like, I didn't like it. It's like, well, why? It's like, okay, well, I didn't think any of the characters were likable. I didn't like the ending. I didn't like this. I didn't like that. I'm not very analytical. I just give my opinion on what I saw and how I felt about it. So when it comes to this movie, Thanksgiving, again, this movie, especially even having seen this trailer back in the day, at this point, I guess we could call it back in the day, 2007. But at this point, knowing about that, still not really having any kind of expectation on what this movie's going to be because when you see the trailer for it, that fake trailer, it's made like the Grindhouse movie with like, the film fuzz on the screen and all that stuff.
Saturation, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
and like the little hairs like floating, and it had that really old school Grindhouse look. And then you see
Yeah.
nearly almost
16 millimeter. Yeah.
yeah, almost 20 years later, was it like 17, 16 years later, finally the movie comes out, but it's made in 4K. So it's like you're going to see the movie that you wanted to see, but it's filmed in today's world. It's filmed with today's technology for filming. It's not really made on film. Some filmmakers still use 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Tarantino does it a
Tarantino
lot.
does that all the time. I mean,
So does Robert Rodriguez. Yeah.
I saw Hateful Eight on 35 millimeter. There was even an intermission on that one, which I thought was cool. Um, Whenever I get a chance to see 35 millimeter, I'll go. Like the
But
Alamo.
I mean, he still does. Tarantino loves film like us. He does. He still does scores.
Oh yeah, dude. I
Direct
mean,
people don't do scores anymore.
dude, I love
I
scores. I mean, dude, I have the
Yeah, because he's a film fanatic,
and dude,
and so is Robert Rodriguez. I mean, I
dude,
got respect for both of those guys. They're two of my favorite directors. One, I mean,
understandably so, dude. I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in 35 millimeter. I wasn't gonna miss that. It's like I missed that sound coming from the booth. That film sound.
I saw
It just
Pulp
brings
Fiction in 35 millimeter. Yeah.
exactly, man. I mean, dude, I mean, everything we saw in the 80s and the 90s and even in the early 2000s was 35 millimeter, you know?
Excuse me. But Eli Roth, I've always been a fan. I loved Cabin Fever. I know it got bashed. I like that movie. It's so stylized. You know why? Because I met Ryder Strong. I met him, really cool guy. I met him at a 90s event. Talked to him a little bit, as I tend to do. And we got into a conversation about film. And I said, you know what, man? I loved Cabin Fever. You were fantastic. And he said, oh, thank you, man. I said, I'll tell you why I liked it. Because it's a cross between a Rob Zombie and a Roger Corman film. And he said, you nailed it. 100%. I agree. No, not a lot of people catch that. I said, oh, I caught it right away because I'm a big Roger Corman fan. It is so Roger Corman-ish. Like, really. And he smiled. He loved hearing that. He lit up like a bug. And it is. Not everybody gets that, but it's a quirky film. It's a crazy film. Humanoids from the Deep. And Corman just did great films. Crazy, quirky films.
I was talking about Death Race 2000 today. That's one of my favorite movies. And 2050 wasn't bad either. And one of the great things about that was like that it actually came out 50 years after the original.
Rest in peace to Roger Corman.
So, as far as like the Hostel movies go, I've only seen the first one. And it was wild. It was like such that was one of those movies that gives you like a sick feeling
It
afterwards
was
because
torture porn, pretty
right,
much. I mean,
I get that, but I also get like it's just that really brings out like some kind of social commentary as well. where it's just like people killing people just because they can and they have money to do it. Very insane, insane movie.
The
But
dark web.
dude, there was that movie Clown. That started out as a fake trailer also that he didn't even have anything to do with it. Somebody just made a fake trailer of a movie called Clown, put it out on like YouTube or something, and put Eli Roth's name on it. Caught his attention. He's like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's make it real. Let's make it
He
happen.
reminds me. I put him and Adam Green in the same kind of category. Same kind of. Just remind me of each other.
I could kind of see that. I loved him in Inglorious Bastards. He was great in that.
Yeah, no, him and Tarantino are buddies. No, you know what? He's earned his stripes. I was just surprised at the misunderstanding people had on the internet and the negativity they had on this film. I was really argumentative and like, are you serious?
I'm always okay bashing movies I don't like. I don't like when people bash movies I like. You know, it's like if you say something bad about a movie I like, I don't, I'm not one of those people who's gonna jump up and defend it. Be like, hey man, you have no idea what you're talking about. You just don't understand. You don't understand it's like, look, you don't like it, you don't like it. I'm not gonna jump down your throat, but people get so defensive over movies. It's like, dude, you didn't write it, I didn't write it.
I had an argument. I loved remember the movie Ready or Not. The movie was fantastic. I saw it in the theater. This lady like started bashing it online. And I was like, "Well, why didn't you like it? Why was it a horrible movie?" And she was bringing up all these points of why you would like a movie. It was the most bizarre thing, and I'm like, "Ma'am, you know nothing about film. Go read a book."
I get it. I like I said, I try not to get so like defensive over something that I like. I don't expect everybody to like everything that I like.
But here's the problem: is you can say I don't like the film because film is subjective. But you can't say it was a bad film because then you got to back it up. And that's where you're not your lacking of film knowledge comes into play. I don't understand why people did not get what Eli Roth was trying to do. To this day, I still don't understand how people don't get it. It's a blatant love letter and homage to that era of 81 to 84. There's scenes in it blatant, literally paying homage to those movies. Yeah, it's right there.
See, I think the thing is, I think the reason that people don't understand that it was paying homage to a lot of those movies from the 80s is because they won't take the time to watch these movies from the 80s because their mind is set on movies that just give them gore, sex, blood, right from the beginning to the end and just gloss over a storyline, trying to make you believe that something exists within this realm.
Well, I think they were thinking that it was a new movie he was making. In a sense, it wasn't. Yeah, it's a new storyline. It's a new, but they didn't get the point. He was why he was making the movie.
Right. And that's exactly. And it's like you see a lot of movies come out, you see slasher movies come out, and people are trying to rebuild this subgenre of horror. And you got a lot of what I would consider to be failures, at least in my eyes. Like, not every slasher movie that comes out, I think, is fantastic. I give them a shot. I mean, this new Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, I'm not very happy that they're remaking it, but I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to check it out. You know how I feel about that movie. It's my favorite slasher movie. And I think a lot of people just don't expect to see something that we saw. Because back in the 80s, we saw this shit when it was still new. We saw it when it was fresh. We saw it when it was good. And we saw that we sat there, we watched it, we listened, and we understood that there was a story being built, a story being told. And there just aren't that many stories being told. They want straight up gore, sex, blood, killing, mayhem. They don't want the story. They just because you think about the way the world is nowadays, right? What do you do when you're on your phone and you open up, let's say, Facebook or Amazon? You're so used to opening up Facebook and the homepage just lighting up, your notifications, you press it, and there's your notifications. Okay, this person liked my picture, this person commented on my picture. But when you open up that Facebook app and it's loading, you see that little load screen. You're like, what is going on? Because everybody wants that instant gratification. That's where that comes from because people are so used to having things like just handed to them right away in their face right away that they just don't want the story sometimes. They just want the blood
But
and
you gotta realize, you gotta understand that. And I just recently realized this, that Gen Z, we're old, dude. Gen Z, okay? The youngest generation, like 18, 19-year olds now, right? Scream is ancient. Scream is old to them. Where Scream is like pretty much new to us, or like mid, you know what I mean? That's how far in advance. Like now those slasher films from the 80s that we remember so vividly, that were they were a long time ago, but not really for us. They were what we grew. Those are like movies from the 60s for us. No, ancient, from the 50s, 60s, you get the like the time span correlation. So it's like, yeah, they were great films, but to kids today, they're classic TC Turner classic movies. You know what I mean? That's the age, the decade span.
well, that's the thing. Yeah,
Well,
it's like how we view like the universal monsters.
right.
Obviously, but
Exactly.
that's the thing though. Even to us, even as younger people, when we were kids, even watching like the creature from the Black Lagoon in black and white, no less. When you're a little kid, you want color on everything. You're used to seeing, I was used to seeing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, green, red, orange, purple, blue, all
Well,
different
you
colors.
think of your parents. Like when we were watching the kids on Friday the 13th in the neighborhood, Nightmare on Elm Street, my mom was already in like her 30s. You know what I mean? So like when she saw it, it was batshit crazy. It was something totally fucking new. My mom grew up with the Universal monsters. She's a baby boomer. That was the horror she knew: Dracula, Frankenstein, Salem's, Wolfman, all that stuff. There was all right, Psycho you had, but that was it, really. And zombie stuff. The fact of like a serial killer or like a crazed madman killing kids on campuses or and camp counselors, or that was like that was new.
Exactly. And it's like when you yeah, I mean, listen, my mother isn't, my mother's in her 70s now, but she liked horror when she was young. I remember when I was a kid and she was telling me how she went to see The Exorcist in theater. So it's like that's a movie from her time that bled over into our time because we appreciate that movie. I just don't think that people nowadays, younger people nowadays appreciate them as much. I mean, like, dude, in all honesty, when we did our Halloween top five, I chose one of my movies, The Changeling. Can you see one of these kids like actually sitting there and watching this movie and trying to like get it and trying to like and find the enjoyment in it and find why it's such a great freaking movie? They either want something that's really artsy, like something that they believe um, goes beyond our level of intellectual thought, that we just don't like it because we don't get it, or blood and guts from beginning to end. I mean, dude, there are movies that I do not think I'm gonna like just from the trailer, end up loving. Like Talk to Me. That movie was great. That movie was really good.
There are some really good films in the
Yeah,
last
I
couple of
mean,
years that aren't even theatrical, like Summer of '84. That film is
great flick.
fantastic.
Dude, that
Fantastic.
another one.
Vicious Fun.
Vicious
Fantastic.
Fun was fantastic. You really got to, that's the thing, man. It's like you don't got to dig deep into your soul to understand a movie, but you really need to dig deep into a catalog of movies to really find something good. You're going to find your flavor no matter what. Whether your favorite type of movie is slashers, ghost stories, haunted houses, zombie flicks, what have you, you're going to find your flavor. You just got to expand your mind. I mean, listen, I'm old now, so I'm not very open-minded to a lot of stuff. When it comes to movies, yeah, I'll be a little more open-minded. I'll check something out. I try not to walk into a movie theater already hating the movie like I'm going to with Silent Night Deadly Night. But
You know what? You might end up. You got to see it. You
I
love it.
know, dude. I know. I'm just busting chops right now because you know how much I love that movie. It's like
Nothing's ever going to be as good as the original.
No,
Like, look at when in 2009, I was like, oh man, they're fucking coming out with a reboot. They called it of My Bloody Valentine. It was a reboot, but they switched the story around. Like
yeah.
TJ was the bad guy and Axel was the good one. It just come on.
I'll be honest with you. When it came to My Bloody Valentine remake, I didn't see that in 2009. It took me a while to actually take the time to see. Same thing with the Friday the 13th remake. It
So
took me a while to like actually sit down
I
and
saw
watch.
them all. I saw the Nightmare on Elm Street remake in the theater too.
Nightmare on Elm
Mm.
Street. Nightmare on Elm Street remake took me even longer to watch. Like I saw that fully for the first time earlier this year, if you can believe that. But when
I
it
saw
came
it in
to
the
like,
theater.
yeah, when it came to My Bloody Valentine and Friday the 13th, it took me a while to act. And when I say a while, I mean like I think I watched them both in like 2018, 2019 for the first time. And I have a 3D TV, so I bought the My Bloody Valentine 3D Blu-ray. And that, I'll be honest with you, the 3D is fucking awesome. The 3D on that movie is
Yeah,
fantastic. And I didn't hate the movie. I didn't think it
it
was
was all right.
terrible. Exactly. It was all right. I'll take all right for a remake any day.
I did not like the Friday the 13th reboot, whatever they call it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't
I
like
see like I liked the Friday the 13th remake. I enjoyed it. It's obviously I'm not expecting like again, when it comes to this Silent Night Deadly Night remake, I'm not expecting them to reinvent the wheel as you said earlier.
But here's the problem. This is what I was trying to say before is that the problem with this stuff is that these movies get overhyped. They get too hyped up to these kids, and these kids expect some amazing thing, and it's promote overhypedness.
But
It's
that's
never gonna live up to.
but that's
2018 Halloween, it got so hyped that people were disappointed. Like, oh, this is it. It was good for what it was.
but sometimes but that's the thing though. It's like these marketing companies, the way these people market these movies, they know that it can work in the opposite way. Not to where it's hyped to the point where people are like, "Oh, this movie's going to be great," and then they're disappointed. They get hyped up to the point where they actually believe it's good when it's really a piece of shit.
I'll tell you what, that trampoline kill was vicious. That one I screamed in the theater. I was like, oh, when she was coming down and the blade went through her hand, and then at first, and then oh,
Well, dude, it's like whenever anything happens with like the ankle, like the way it just like slashed on the side of her ankle, like that's what I'm like, cause like kind of like in Pet Cemetery when Gage stabbed Judd in the ankle, like he sliced the ankle. It's like, oh, like that stuff makes me cringe. Like that was,
but when she was coming up, and then you know what's coming, waiting for her when she's coming down, and it's just like, oh god, the blade is gonna go through somewhere.
and it was wild the way her boyfriend was just sitting there on looking. He's like, look, I can't do anything. I'm training. She's like, yeah, but how about a little peek? She takes her panties off. She's doing this stuff. And you just see the hands go around this dude's neck and just twist his head out around completely. But the funny thing is too, though, because like in the fake trailer, the way this girl on the trampoline dies, I mean, like, I get why they didn't put this in the actual movie, is she splits her legs and the knife goes right where you don't want it to go. But she was like almost completely naked in that trailer anyway. But
Yeah, the waitress against the cold refrigerator with the skin ripping off. That was pretty sick.
yeah, dude, that was wild. He just like when he sticks her face in the water, you think he's gonna drown her, but then he does something clever, pulls her back out, opens the freezer door, and sticks her face to the freezer door. And I'm just like, oh my god, she's pulling her face off. And it's one of those things where you think she's gonna get away, and then of course, in the most inane ways possible, is how she dies. She's trying to jump into the dumpster, and he hits the dumpster, and then the lid of the dumpster falls on her and splits her in half. And then the next day, you see her bottom half of her body hanging from the Right Mart sign.
Hide that body. Hide the body.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly.
There was some funny moments in it too.
Yeah,
I
there was a
mean,
lot of wild moments. A lot of
what about the blonde friend father, the foreign guy who's like military? He's like, we're living right now. I think the Russian or something.
Yeah,
You
when
know,
what was her name? Yulia, I believe it was. And
they're fine.
he just stuck those the corn, I forget what they're called, the little corn things that you
Corn
put,
stickers.
corn stickers, there
Yeah.
you go, in her ears. And that's again another thing that like
To
kind of
death.
like
Yeah.
drives me like something going in your ear. It's like
Oh,
I
yeah,
use
that
a
was
Q,
brutal.
I know you technically you're not really supposed to use Q-tips in your ears, but like when you get in a little too far and you're just like like you feel
Yeah.
it, like in
Oh,
your throat, and just watching that whole scene, just the way he God, terrible, terrible. And it was like during a FaceTime call too, like while her boyfriend was watching it happen.
yep. It's all themes of Thanksgiving too. The turkey carver and the corn stickers for the corn on the cob. Yep, all Thanksgiving stuff. I mean, the whole movie, it's homage to Thanksgiving too. It's all Thanksgiving themed. Um, it just really shows that time period how much Eli Roth loved
Oh,
music.
absolutely, man. And just that whole dinner table scene right before, everything gets revealed, before you find out that the sheriff was the killer the whole time. You got Jessica at the table, Scuba at the table, her other two friends, Evan and Gabby, they're all at the table. Tim Dillon's head's on a platter. The waitress is in the chair with her face
It's
half bitten
like
off.
it's like happy birthday to me. They're all at the table.
Happy birthday to
Did
me.
you pick that up? See,
Yeah. See, like I was thinking more
little subtle things he did.
right, but that's the thing, and it's like I thought more Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A little different
Yeah,
because, like you said, with Happy Birthday to Me, it was her and all her friends, but in this one, you're serving up uh the stepmother Kathleen tied up like a turkey, which was wild. Because when he finally gets her, ties her up, puts her in the oven, like, dude, that's another one of those things that makes me cringe. It makes me cringe seeing somebody like in a hot oven, like just like in it was one of the Final Destinations where a girl got locked in a tanning bed, and just seeing her body, but like that shit drives me nuts. I hate that shit. And
my
just
buddy, a guy I know, did a film like that, not called 98, I think, degrees, and the dumb kids that get locked in a sauna and they have to try to get out. Yeah, that movie was
dude,
crazy.
I mean, you said 98 degrees, and I was thinking that 90s pop band, but like just
No, it was called something like, yeah, it was good though. I mean, he made it was an independent, but they in the what the kid has to do for them to try to survive is, but they go in and like the lock, like the thing goes out, and they imagine the frightening, you're trapped in there,
oh dude,
and
that's
you're,
like that's like
heat is, oh
that's like Frozen, getting
yeah,
stuck on the lift, like
yeah,
similar idea that
situational horror, yeah,
yeah.
it's brutal.
So yeah, dude, and like the way he was slicing Kathleen up, like just seeing him slice and he used that like voice modulator too. He's like, have some turkey. He's like, don't, But then again, like when you find out that it was Patrick Dempsey, the sheriff, the whole time, and just seeing him become that psychotic person when Jessica
It's almost
figures out,
unbelievable though. I can't
yeah.
picture Patrick Dempsey as a, it just, but it worked.
But if you think about it, if you like Alex Armbruster, the guy who was actually John Carver, the stunt man in the costume, and you look at Patrick Dempsey, you could kind of picture that being him. Similar build, even though Dempsey's a little older at this point.
But you remember Dempsey from like fucking Loverboy and Get
Yeah, but
Body Love
and
and like, you know,
but he was also in Scream 3. And even in Scream
true,
3, I thought he was the killer.
true.
And he was a cop in
But
that too, wasn't he? So, like, I mean, is that like a throwback to
yeah,
Scream 3 also? Like Patrick Dempsey as a cop, you know? But you gotta love the opening scene, the way it sets it up. I know we're jumping back, but you gotta love that opening scene, the way it gets set up. Because everybody,
it tells a great story. It
yeah,
really,
because it really sheds a light on how crazy people get for a good deal. Because stuff like that has happened. I mean, people have gotten trampled at a Walmart trying to get a
oh
TV,
yeah,
trying to get a waffle iron, whatever, a microwave, all that shit. It's happened. So they
Black Friday.
exactly. So Eli Roth took that whole idea and brought it to a whole other level. Obviously,
Exactly.
not going to call the place Walmart, Right Mart. The name of the owner is Mr. Wright,
Right.
Wright. Whereas
Right. Which is clever.
clever,
But you know
very
what?
clever.
There's an actual movie Black Friday too.
Oh,
A
of
horror
course there is.
movie.
No, I know that. I don't think I've ever seen it, but of course there's a movie
It's
called
like
Black
a
Friday.
spoof satire.
Yeah, of course. I mean, dude, there's a movie for everything at this point. But Thanksgiving was Thanksgiving was an absolute sweet surprise.
It's a great movie to see in the theater too. Like
Absolutely.
it's not so much TV. It's a theater movie. I'm so glad I saw it opening night in the theater. It was just the whole audience was into it, and it's just great to watch on the big screen. It really is. And then on top of it all, before the end credits, I don't know if you remember, but you know who they played, right?
The
When they're
Misfits.
yep,
Where Eagles there.
I ain't no goddamn son of a bitch. So you know Eli Roth's a Misfits fan too.
Oh, of course, dude. Dude, the second that bass line hit, do do do
Yeah,
do do do, I'm like, oh my
so
god,
great.
is this a Misfits? We walk the streets at night.
I, it
We
fit
go
perfectly.
where Eagles there. Yeah, love it. Love the Misfits, man, and just the fact that they play. I mean, dude, whenever Danzig or the Misfits shows up in any movie, I'm like a little kid. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
It
just
was a nice touch.
yeah,
It was unexpected
it's
because
like
it goes on before the credits, the actual regular credits.
I don't know if you saw the movie Abigail with the little girl vampire ballerina.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like she's doing her little ballerina dance, and "Blood and Tears" by the Danzig song for off of Lucifuge was playing. I'm like, no way. Of all the songs in all
That's
the
such a great
movies,
song though. Eagles
that
Dear.
song has had to be in the movie I came to see tonight. Yeah, dude. I mean, that was when I first started listening to the Misfits. That was the one like that was the song that really that and Hybrid Moments are the ones that really like
Oh
captured me
yeah.
because Hybrid
That
Moments,
whole era.
yeah, Hybrid Moments was
Static Age.
just a great song from beginning to from the beginning, drum fill throughout the whole song, and then where Eagles Dare, just the fact that he's saying I ain't no goddamn son of a bitch to me,
You better
my
think of it.
yeah, to my 13, 14-year old mind, Catholic mind, that that was just some wild stuff to hear.
Yeah, I don't know why people didn't like this. I really it's just silly. It's ridiculous to me. It was entertaining more than anything. Even if, you know, I don't get it, man. It wasn't not entertaining.
And I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that because when you see some of the stuff that people love nowadays, and you watch it and you're like, what does everybody love about this movie? This movie sucks. And then you see a movie that you like and everybody else hates it. It's like, do I have bad taste in movies and everybody else is like
There's a guy that unfriended me because of it. Because there was, he thought it was so bad, and I'm like playing devil's advocate. I'm arguing, sticking up for the movie. He's just like, "Oh fuck you," and unfriended. I'm like, "There you go."
dude, that's the thing, man. It's like being a horror fan, I think people need to lighten up. I think people need to know and understand that everybody's got their flavor. You know what I mean? People have their taste.
Yeah,
They're
but
not
his
like
argument, I remember, it was he was wrong. It was he was trying to. He was like, "No, Eli Roth did not reinvent the wheel. He wasn't trying to, dude. How could you not get that through your fucking thick skull?" I tried to explain to him. He made this off of a mock trailer, paying homage to the grindhouse era, 80 slasher era, which is similar. Back the 8 slashers came out precursor. That's what all he was doing. It's a love letter. Do you know what that means? It's a love letter, dude. It's not something new. It's not reinventing the wheel. He took the love of it and made a story out of his own and paid homage.
and it, and again, this is something that people absolutely asked for. Can't use that argument. No one asked for dude, everybody asked for this. Everybody wanted to see that little trailer in between the movies of Grindhouse, in between the Grindhouse movies as a full featured film.
They want a part two,
I want a part
which
two.
I hope happens.
I really would love to see a sequel because the thing is with this movie, they went throughout the whole warehouse where this whole movie ended, where the they blew up that like that giant turkey, that giant air blown turkey.
As the fireman. Remember, she looks at him like kind of weird, like, is that him? The fireman
Oh yeah, the
walking out.
fireman.
It
Yeah,
was him.
they kind of
Hinted
yeah,
at,
they kind of imply, or they
implied. That's what I want.
yeah,
Implied that it's him.
they kind of imply that it is him, or they at least try to make you believe it's him. Because if
So
it
for there's a part two.
exactly, because it very well might not be him. That's a fireman coming out of a warehouse.
Right, but they definitely implied it. But here's the thing.
Absolutely.
I already know how they could make a part two. I should write is they could have that fanatical over Jessica, the nerdy straight that they all hated, that kid get crazy and jilted and start killing, he could be the next one. Just
Yeah,
like Scream does. That's what Scream basically does.
yeah. I could
If
see that, but I also
somebody
I could
crisscross.
I could see that, but I could also see that as being predictable. And I'm
That's
not
what all
saying
the screams are too.
that's
You
true.
didn't know. You're gonna tell me in the New York one with you didn't know it was the boyfriend. I figured that out halfway through, where
Wait,
it was Randy Jack Quaid.
oh,
That one,
that was no, that was part
I get them mixed
five.
up. That one,
Yeah,
I figured I was Jack Quaid so early on. They don't try to hide. You know what I mean?
yeah, dude. I mean, I'll be honest with you. When it came to that Scream movie, Scream Five, let's call it. When it came to that one, they came out with the poster and it said the killer is on this poster. Right away, I thought it was Jack Quaid because if you think about it, and I did the math. Part two, Billy Loomis's mom and the dude who was the killer in part two. What's the actor's name? Is that Oliphant? Right, Timothy Oliphant, I think it is. Or is he that dude that looks like the other dude? Whatever. Okay, Billy Loomis's mom and the dude that were the killers from part two. If they had a kid, it would look just like Jack Quaid.
You know what movie grew on me that's similar to these kind of movies with the twist ending? I like the twist ending. At first, I hated it. And I saw it in the theater. Starry Eyes. It grew on me. It's a modern Valentine's Day
Oh, you mean
horror
Hard
movie.
Eyes? Hard Eyes.
Hard Eyes. That's what I meant. Hard Eyes.
Starry
Yeah,
Eyes was completely different.
I saw it in the
Starry
theater.
Eyes is
Hard
completely
Eyes.
different. Dude, I saw
And
Hard
I
Eyes.
hated it at first, but it grew on. I actually like it now. I like the twist ending where it
Dude,
was the nerdy IT guy.
but that's the
IT
thing.
guy.
Though. I kind of figured that out though, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than anybody, dude. It was easy to figure out that he
Right.
was at least part of it. Um, I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like it that much.
I didn't either at first, but
There were some scenes that were okay, dude. The opening scene, that was a sick kill in that what was that machine that they killed her in? Whatever it was.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm. But see how that movie is trying to capture. Now they're trying to get Scream. They're trying to be like Scream, and it's very Scream it. You know what I mean? Like whereas
Yeah. Yes. But that's the thing though. It's like when you go back
what's happening?
to but again, it brings you back to My Bloody Valentine. It brings you back to Happy Birthday to Me. Even Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th. Who's the killer? There are certain aspects where people know the killer. They let you know that
No,
they
but I mean
killers.
the whole vibe of the movie is very Scream. Like that has that
Yes.
aesthetic, like
Yes.
Thanksgiving and
I
Founders Day. All these movies have that certain way about them aesthetic.
I get it. I just personally I didn't feel that Hard Eyes really hit the mark that well with me at least. I
It was all right.
it had some enjoyable moments. I think a lot of times, I mean, listen, we know that slasher movies are going to be campy. It's going to have like its comedic element to it, but I think that there are too many horror movies that come out nowadays that rely too much on the comedic element of it. Where they
Yeah,
just
it's a new thing. It's a satirical, like funny.
exactly, and it's like
And,
even when something like gross happens or something sick happens, the way they present it, you'll see somebody being killed, but they'll play like the Three Stooges theme song to make you know
yeah,
that you're supposed to laugh at it, and it's just like that's too much. You know what I mean? It's like some of these slasher movies that, yeah, look, again, you go back to like Friday the 13th, you go back to um Happy Birthday to Me. yeah, there was like a couple of things in the movie that it was just like when friends were just like bullshitting with each other that you laugh at, but it wasn't to be made a joke of when somebody was dying, when someone was getting stabbed in the gut or slashed
Yeah,
across.
it was meant to scare back then. It wasn't meta. It was horror. I mean, it was influenced by other things. Now these new ones like Hard Eyes, they're influenced by meta type of films. What started that out is Scream. Scream was pretty much meta, satirical, like like Randy, which I love character. Like, don't I'll be back, or don't say, you know what I mean? They were aware of themselves. They were aware at that point. Kevin Bacon wasn't aware of that point. Like, he was going to get a spear through his neck in the first Friday. You know what I mean? But like they were self aware of horror movies at that point. Like, what's his name? Character Randy.
Okay,
Is that his name, Randy? Or
it was right. Yeah,
what's
Jimmy Kennedy.
Jimmy Kennedy's character? Yeah, the nerdy guy that's a film geek and likes horror. Don't do this. Don't do this. That's all meta. So the dinner scene is rough. It's squeamish. It makes you squirm.
Yeah, because nobody wants to see a grown woman tied up like a turkey, basted and
Getting
baked, and getting
basically,
cut,
yeah, baked
getting
in an
served.
oven
Yeah.
alive.
But one of the cool things, one of the things, and it's like throughout the movie, and this is another thing that gets me about like today's movies. And I know that you've mentioned this, that Quentin Tarantino's got the issue with it too, with the cell phones in the movies and all that stuff. I'm not a fan of cell phones in slasher movies because I don't like the element that um safety help is just pulling it out of your pocket, pressing a button, and you're good to go. You know what I mean? Because back in the 80s, obviously, you had to either dial it or pick up a phone and press the button, remember phone numbers and all that shit. Whereas now it's like everybody had cell phones and they focused on it a lot, because you have a killer who's posting um, the dead bodies, his victims, on Instagram and tagging the people
Yeah.
that he's planning on
So it had to
killing
be in the
next.
film.
Yeah. So that was part of it,
He's taunting them with it.
right. And then there was Evan filming what was going on inside of Right Mart the night that everything went bad and posting it on social media, it getting going viral, and it just became a big thing, and it like resurfaced because other people were reposting it and all that stuff. And you're just kind of like, all right, enough with the phones. But it turns out the way everybody finds out that the sheriff is the killer is, hey, I didn't tell you what I'm thankful for. All right, what are you thankful for? I'm thankful that there's good service in here. And
Right,
she's
right.
recording the whole interaction between her and the
It
sheriff,
was a great scene.
giving away his whole plan, telling her exactly what was going on, telling Jessica why he was doing it, his story about how he was cheating with
Right.
Amanda Collins, Mitch
They
Collins'
took away
wife.
the one thing that I loved.
Exactly. And our baby. I
The
think that's what
baby.
he said. But um yeah. And just the fact that gets revealed that she was recording him the whole time and people are watching it, you see the hearts like popping up because people are liking what they're seeing. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I'm like,
Sign of the times.
it's a sign of the times, but you realize throughout the movie that they do focus on the phone a lot in the movie. Like someone who has a phone, like they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And it's like someone always has a phone, and then it turns out that that's ultimately what helped Jessica in the end.
It was a tool that helped her. Yeah, I mean, but they do that in a lot of the movies today. Like, well, we're just Hard Eyes. The phone is used a lot in that one too.
Yes, and again, that's why I like movies like Summer of 1984,
Summer of '84.
Summer of '84. Yeah, that's what I like. That's what I liked about that is that it
It's
when
nostalgia. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, it's '84. There's no internet. There's no cell phones. There's nothing.
exactly. So
Kids
it's
riding
like
on bikes. But
right.
those are like the Stranger Things, the Goonies aspect, Lost. But that's that whole vibe
Yeah,
genre.
and that's what I like about movies that are dated from like the 80s and sooner, because especially even movies like Black Phone, you see phone booths everywhere and you're just like, "Oh wow," it's like I remember that time. I remember phone booths. I
Yeah.
remember when you had to pick up a phone and dial. It was like kind of like in, I don't know if you saw Clown in a Cornfield, but
Yeah.
yeah, these girls in the house, they pick up the phone. They're like, "How do you dial this? Like, what do we do?" They had no idea how to use a rotary phone. And of course, people our age are like, are you fucking stupid? You don't know how to use a rotary phone? Like, you can't figure it out. But
Yeah.
I like that era of movies because help wasn't just a pull out of the pocket.
This was modernized, obviously. It's today. Thanksgiving is, it's of its time. People have phones. But I think it tied it in good. I think he was taunting them really well with it, really fucking with them. And I mean that's not original. I've seen that in other films before too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it's just a tactic, to fuck with them. Like, who is this? Who's doing this? He's targeting them. And at that point, you don't know who the killer is, so it's suspenseful too. It's like who's sending them these messages, and I mean, it ties in well.
Right. But the thing is with this movie, like I said earlier, I really feel like they checked all the marks for a good slasher movie. Every
Yeah, absolutely. It's a slasher film. It's a straight up slasher, as good as you can get in modern times to an 80s slasher film. That's what Eli Roth was trying to do, pretty
I
much.
I feel like he really succeeded with this one, and it became such a good movie to me because I wasn't really expecting much from it. Just from the fake
Look,
trip
it's
going
not
on.
highbrow. It's not, but it's entertaining. That's all you can ask for. It's a very entertaining movie. You're
Right,
entertained
and it's
when you're
not
watching it.
right, and it's not incredibly, absolutely mindless to where there's no story to follow.
Right,
But it's not
exactly.
so ultimately, it's not
But
so
it takes you on a ride. I didn't lose 1 ounce of interest when I was watching this in the theater. My
exactly.
eyes were glued to the screen.
Watching this movie really does bring about a lot of what we grew up with from the 80s slashers to the early 90s, all that stuff. It brought it back and it really brings back, and that's something for people from our generation is nostalgia. We love that shit. Anything that reminds us of something that we enjoyed when we were younger, we're all about it. We're so for it. And that's what I feel like we were ultimately given with
That's what
Thanksgiving.
Eli Roth was giving us, and that's what people
Exactly.
don't
That's
understand.
exactly. But that's the thing though. People don't understand nostalgia who weren't around for the time that these movies were being created, pumped out,
Yeah.
but they and all for the most part good. Because of course, anything that, a good thing doesn't last forever. You're gonna have a lot of good movies and you're gonna have a lot of shitty movies. But during that era, during the golden era, during the 80s, you had a lot of good
Well, you
shit.
gotta remember, there was a big time lapse. Between when the slasher movement died out, it was like Spielberg era. It was family movies. It was like Explorers and these sci-fi movies and Harry and the Hendersons. Were like these family movies. That was buried, dead and buried, like punk music. In '77 when it died out. Um, So there was though, people weren't watching that stuff. And then the respark was Wes Craven. Wes Craven said, I want to bring back the slasher movement because he loved it. And that's when he made Scream. And then it made its revival. But for all that time, from like 86 to 96, basically 10 years, there was no slashers really. There was no like, you know.
Right. And the
So
the good thing about that is what
it
it
got a
was.
resurgence,
Right.
revival.
And it opened up the door for people to come back in and say, "Hey, listen, I have an idea for a slasher." Adam Green had the Hatchet series, and that's one of those series that I feel like people don't talk about enough. That is such a fun series. And Thanksgiving again, it gave us a lot more of what we craved from a slasher movie than some of the other stuff that comes out. In a Violent Nature gave it a shot. I didn't find any enjoyment. I didn't find any enjoyment in a Violent Nature at all. It's like you say in a Violent Nature, I say in a fucking coma. Like that's more what it was like.
It was just bad.
I
It was just
just I tried, I went to the theater to see that one. I didn't
Well,
sit
that's the difference. I mean, here's all right. This is what we're talking about. This is the difference. Thanksgiving, entertaining. This is what I mean. In a violent nature, not entertaining. You didn't know any of the characters. The killer was boring. It was simulated almost like you're a Sims character. It just didn't hit its mark. It didn't like it didn't execute what it was supposed to.
Right. And they marketed this movie as like a POV Friday the 13th movie, and it was nothing
Not at
like
all.
that.
That's not
The only
POV.
thing, the
Friday
only
the 13th is POV.
the only thing that can say that maybe can be comparable to Friday the 13th was the dude's disfigured face when he took the mask off. That's about it.
But here's the thing, in a violent nature, you know what it was like? It was like watching somebody play a video game of a horror film. Watching a guy move like with a joint with the guy around. That's what it seemed like.
Dude, that's exactly what it's like because when I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever played the Friday the 13th game for, the
Yeah.
Xbox.
That's what it was like. That's what all basically what he did.
You're walking around when you're walking around as Jason in this video game and you don't hear shit, and then all of a sudden you hear the people that are close by start like you get closer,
Who wants to watch that?
the dialogue gets louder. That's exactly what happened in the movie. The dialogue just got louder the closer that he got. You have no idea who's talking. You just know that he's gonna kill them, and you don't know why.
It's not structured as a film. The guy didn't execute it properly.
Thanksgiving, the character Evan, the jock, the one who's paying the nerd to write his report, you know why you don't like him because he's a jerk off. He's a dick. And it was great the way the little nerd kid got him back because he just wrote up his own teacher's essay for him to read in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
class. She's like, "Oh yeah, that was great when I wrote it." Like that's
It was on our blog. that
exactly, exactly. So
was
it's
classic.
like you have the character development that you need in this movie to know who you want alive. Know
And
you.
what about the accents? Were great.
Oh,
The
dude,
Boston, like the Massachusetts accent.
Dempsey's Boston accent was great because it wasn't overdone.
But
You
what
know what
about the
I mean?
kid that they beat up in the beginning? Like he was great. Suck my fucking cock. Like like when they're in the
Yeah,
store in the
yeah,
beginning,
dude, it was
fucking you
great.
cocksucker.
But like that's the thing too. Like I said, when Dempsey did his Boston accent, it wasn't too much. It's like I'm from New York, right? I grew up in Queens. Whenever I hear people do a New York accent and it's like overdone, where it's like, "Hey, how you doing? My name's
Yeah,
Joey. I come from
cringy.
Staten Island. I came from Brooklyn. I grew up, born and raised. From Bensonhurst. It's like I don't like. I cringe when I hear that. I don't really hear my accent until I listen to this later. I know that, you know what I mean? So it's like, again, being someone who's from New York and hearing somebody speak with what they think is a New York
They
accent.
over exaggerated it though, which was great with the kids.
Yeah, but like I
Piece of
said, the way Dempsey did it, I really loved the way he did it. I loved the way he did his
subtle. Yeah.
accent. Exactly. You could hear it when he said certain words, but it wasn't like, "Hey, let's park the car over
I
there in the
don't think he could do it. I don't think he could like basically try. After that, I don't think he could
No,
nail like
but see, like
a
that's the
real
thing, man.
thick, salty accent, which it worked.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think he would be able to do it if he had to, but I think what really proved what a good actor he was that he can limit it. You know what I mean? That he can.
But
He didn't go, full on. I think the opening scene was one of the best opening scenes. The way they set it up, because it's something that that shit like that has happened in a Walmart. But the whole thing is like a year later, after all this stuff happened, after this big, blowout at Wright Mart, Thomas Wright is still going to open the store. They're like, "Dude, like after what happened last year, you're still going to open the store?" He's like, "Yeah." And then once the killings start, he's like, "You know what? Maybe we shouldn't open the store."
and the husband, he's in the news thing, like, right, you greedy fucking scumbag. Yeah, he's when they're interviewing him.
Yes, and even during the parade, he jumped out in front of one of the floats with one of his protest signs. So yeah, I mean and that's the weird thing because he's the one who lost his wife that day, and we don't know about the whole thing between his wife and the sheriff until the end. You would think you would see more of Mitch. You'd think you'd see more of Mitch throughout the movie, even if it's just him uh protesting or like jumping in the street with a sign or even, you know, going to the sheriff's office to be like, "Hey, you know, are you going to do something about this? Or like just always up Thomas Wright's ass to do, to just bring him down somehow. This was a husband who was destroyed the day that his wife was killed. And you know, the thing is about him though, I don't think there was any point in the movie where I thought he was the killer.
No, no, not at all.
And it wasn't just because you didn't see him. It's like you would think that because you don't see him, it's like, wait, where's the husband? Where's
Yeah,
Mitch?
I didn't think it was him.
It never occurred to me that it could have been him at all. It never crossed my mind. Well, maybe it's the husband. Maybe it's, because think about it. He lost his wife that day. She,
Nothing led him up. There was no like lead hints at it or anything.
well, and
You know what? And I lie. You know what? When Dempsey had her in the office, and she was looking at him weird, and and she looked down at his boots. I was like, that's when. Oh, it might be him. Might be this. Remember that scene?
yeah,
I
when
think.
when she figures out it's the sheriff.
Yeah, the boots.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when she sees the brush on it, the shrubbery on his boots or whatever it is, the like the grass. Basically where it was that she was just running from John Carver.
and then he knows that she knows. Is
Like if you were just stuck on that fence for one more second,
no,
that
there was some great like interactions too in the movie, like just entertain, like good scenes and lines and interact. You know what I mean?
very enjoyable flick. It deserves more recognition. It deserves more love, and it deserves a sequel. It definitely deserves a sequel. If this is a standalone film, cool. I'm totally cool with that. But like, I want more. Like, I like this movie so
Nah, we
much.
need another part two. This could be a franchise. This could be some a part two easily. I mean, think if they only had one scream. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. I
Yeah.
can't picture them only having one scream.
Well, but see, like, it's a little different with Scream because Scream was a different killer every movie. Movies like Thanksgiving, it's like you can continue from the story that's already built, because we don't necessarily know what happened to the sheriff at the end. He blew up, they filled up that big turkey, that big air blown turkey with propane. She when she shoots the musket at it, she shoots a musket at it. You see her like stuffing it with the gunpowder and all that, and that thing just blows up. And dude, the scream that he let out when that thing blew up behind him, that it was such a great scream. It sounded like a real scream. It was a dude screaming that like just had a turkey blown up right next to him. And when the fire department comes out after they, clear the fire, clear the mess, all that stuff, they they couldn't find him. They didn't know where he was.
But you know what? I think they should have ended it there. That whole where they're back sleeping in the bed and she has that flash thing. I think they should have cut that out. That was kind of cheesy. Remember, she opens the door and he's behind her, and it was just a dream. And
Yeah, it was just a dream of him, the sheriff in the fire pulling her in. But again, that goes with like all the slasher tropes, man. It goes with like all that stuff. Especially the dude walking out of the warehouse at the end with the gas mask on, kind of alluding to the idea that that is the sheriff, Patrick Dempsey's character walking out. That right there is grounds for a possible sequel. But then again, stuff like that is what they've been doing in like slasher movies forever. I mean, because look, final chapter, Friday the 13th, final chapter at the very end, when is kind of like what that did, where it's like, oh, Tommy's going to be the next killer. It's like, oh, the dude's still alive. It's just something that they do in slasher movies just to fuck with you.
play with it.
Just
Yeah,
to,
yeah, of course. Absolutely. We don't know. I mean, but there was buzz that Eli was working on a part two. We just don't know when.
yeah, it might just, listen, man, it might just be in like post production limbo for all we know, or just production limbo.
He might not. Yeah, he might be writing the script right now. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look, I thought Alex Armbruster, the guy who did the stunts, like I thought he did a great job. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
he had a good, like I said, he had a good walk. He had good movements. It was just he was great.
I gotta
And
get that mask. Did you pick up a mask? Do you have a John Carver mask?
yes, I actually have both of the masks. There were two different John Carver masks that came out. One was the regular one and one was the burnt one. I even got two of these hats in case I display both of them, you know. But that's how much I like the movie.
It's a highly entertaining,
It
fun
is, man.
slasher film.
It goes beyond what like a lot of the new slasher movies are giving you. Thanksgiving isn't like the most likeliest of holidays that you would expect to have a slasher movie for. I mean, there was a point where you wouldn't think that Christmas would have a slasher movie, but like when you look at the long list of Christmas slasher movies, Christmas horror movies, there's a lot of them.
There's not a lot of Thanksgiving. There, yeah, like Blood Rage, which is an old slasher film that never got any public promotion or public. It's a classic, a cult film. Um, and that's the only one I can really think of with that's horror Thanksgiving. So we needed this. We needed a thing. He look. Eli Roth took. He said, "Look, we had Silent Night, Bloody Night for Christmas. We have a bunch of other ones. We have My Bloody Valentine for Valentine's Day. We have Friday the 13th, which is a bad omen date, supposedly from the witches or whatever. Um, we have
Halloween, of
New
course.
Year's Eve slasher films. We have Halloween, of course. We have New Year's Evil. We have New Year's, yeah, the other one. Well, we didn't have Thanksgiving, really.
Right. I know that there's like a
So,
I know that there are some like weird obscure like Tubi style Thanksgiving movies like Killer Zombie Turkeys or some shit like that.
that don't, yeah, the Thanksgiving and that don't count with the
That's
killer
it.
turkey.
Thanksgiving.
No, that's we're not getting that's doesn't. Blood Rage was if you see Blood Rage, I know I'm mentioning that several times, but it is. It's a thanks the twin brothers, the kid kills. It's on Thanksgiving. They're going over to families for Thanksgiving dinner. It kills them. It's but it's not no. So Eli Roth, he said, yeah, let's do fucking a Thanksgiving one off the trailer. Absolutely, and he nailed it. Even the opening, the font and the blood and the red is the same font as Happy Birthday to Me. So he's paying homage right from the gate. He hit it on the mark. Very highly entertaining, fun film to watch, especially in the theater. Doesn't get boring at all, in the least bit. It's got some suspense to it. I couldn't figure out till like the third act who the killer was. He taunts the kids good. The kids are annoying like they're supposed to be. The main final girl is a she kicks some ass. She's strong. It's got the annoying fucking kid you hate in there too. That's always there. Um, I mean, and it tells a story. I don't know why people didn't like it. I really don't.
This movie, as far as slasher movies go, this checks every box that you expect to be in a slasher movie, in an enjoyable slasher movie. Again, we've been watching slasher movies for most of our lives when you really think about it. And to have this movie be what it was, be as good as it was to people who just love these types of movies. You know, like I said, again, people like us, your age, my age, our generation, we appreciate nostalgia. We appreciate things that remind us of what our life was like when we were younger. So that's why you'll have an appreciation from somebody like me for this movie, from somebody like Neil from this movie, because it just really it took everything that we loved about those movies from the 80s and that short time in the 90s also and just gave it back to us. It really took from what was in the 80s, those, a lot from the slashers of the 80s and the slashers of the 90s and just put it together and just
Look, it's a love letter
gave us something
to that
really,
time period,
really
and
special.
it's
I
got the
really
aesthetic
feel
of
that.
Scream. You know, it's a love letter to that golden era, and it's got the aesthetic of Scream. You can't ask for anything more. He blended both of them together, and it worked. My final conclusion is that Eli Roth hit it on the mark. It's completely entertaining, takes you on a ride, and it points pokes fun at itself in a meta kind of silly way, but in a fun way, and not in a silly, cheesy, generic way. It's meant to do that. If you get it, you get it. And the killer's got a great costume, unique, spooky, creepy face on that John Carver. The fact that the town loves Thanksgiving that much is hilarious in itself. And that opening scene is just fantastic. Get your interest right from the gate. So I recommend seeing this film. If you love slasher films, you'll find yourself saying it's a love letter to the golden era of that time period in the 80s.
John Carver is definitely a slasher that should be celebrated, that should become iconic because this movie is just one of those types of movies, one of those slasher movies that really deserves the type of recognition that the movies we love from back in the 80s do. You know, granted, right now it's just the one movie. Whether or not they're going to go further than two, three, who knows? But I really feel that John Carver has the makings of a slasher icon. Great idea for a movie, great idea for a killer, modeling it after, the town's first governor, being amongst a sea of people wearing the same mask and just so easily able to hide in plain sight. It really hit a lot of marks, checked a lot of boxes that needed to be checked for this movie to be enjoyable. Totally recommend this flick. If you have not seen it, see it. If you've seen it, see it again. Remember why you love this movie. I love John Carver. I think John Carver is a great slasher and should be on his way already. I would love for him to be up there with Jason and Freddy, Michael Myers, even with Ghostface from the 90s and Victor Crowley, just something memorable. Like, this is a memorable flick. He is a memorable character with a memorable face. That face, like you said, it's creepy. Even when it gets burnt, it's even creepier. It's just such a good flick, good slasher flick that really, really gave us what we needed for a slasher movie. From beginning to end, such a good flick.
All right. As always, thank you for watching the Retro Film Podcast, even though this was not really a retro film, but we wanted to do a Thanksgiving special episode because we love this film that much.
Totally appreciate it. Hope you all have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you for listening. Watch this film on Thanksgiving, and like I said, we're amidst the holiday season. Christmas is coming up. I think we should do a top 5 Christmas, because there's a lot of good Christmas horror movies. I mean, you already know my number one, and we're going to do a whole show just on that one at some point too.
But there's a lot of them.
Yeah, dude.
But I have some that are obscure outside
That's
the box
fine.
that are fantastic that I've seen in the last couple of years.
Good. Can't wait to hear. All right. That's the end of our show. Thank you so much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Well, this concludes this episode of the Retro Film Podcast on Thanksgiving. If you're interested in checking out Thanksgiving, you can check some of your favorite streaming services, or you can go old school, buy yourself a physical copy. And if you enjoyed this episode of the Retro Film Podcast, please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate the support as much as we love watching these movies. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you come back for future episodes.